Welcome back to the special coverage of the first day of the second phase of the Egyptian elections for the Parliament and House of Representatives. We have about half an hour to go until the first day ends, and today Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has casted his vote this morning in the second phase of the elections, and the elections are held nationwide for today and tomorrow, the 25th of November. President el-Sisi had voted in his designated polling station at the Shahid Mustafa Yusri Amireya Model Preparatory School for Girls in Heliopolis. The director of the Egyptian executive body of the National Election Authority, Councillor Ahmed Benderi, confirmed that voting proceeded smoothly during the ongoing parliamentary elections, with all the polling stations opening on time and no violations reported against the campaigning rules that are detected nearby. He added that a hotline is dedicated to address any complaints regarding the electoral process. Benderi also emphasized that the authority has zero tolerance for any infractions and encourages citizens to take part in this vote. The authority reminded voters not to photograph their ballots so as to avoid any legal consequences, and reaffirmed that any breach of election regulations have been handled according to the law. Authorities stressed that the process remains transparent, orderly, and fully operational across all the voting centres in the 13 governorates taking part in the second phase of this parliamentary elections. There are a number of observation groups as well taking part. The first day of the voting in the second phase of Egypt's 2025 House of Representatives elections has witnessed a broad participation from several ministers who cast in their votes across the various polling stations. Officials emphasized that voting is both a national duty as well as a constitutional right, reflecting support for the democratic process and state institutions. As you can see on your screens right now, this is the electoral process taking place in the first day of the second phase, and the turnout seems to be quite high in a number of areas, including, as you can see on the top left there, in Qalyubiyya Governorate, where we can see a large queue right there of people waiting to cast in their vote. Again, let me just give you some background information that there are a number of governorates taking part in the second phase, which are 13 governorates, including the capital, Cairo, as well as South Sinai and North Sinai. And on the screens, you can see at the bottom there as well live images from Suez, where people are filing in to cast their vote. And you can see that there are some senior citizens taking part in this vote. Everyone seems to be enthusiastic about taking part in the democratic vote. There have been reports of a high turnout when it comes to the youth taking part in this electoral process. Now, again, let me just give you some more information here. There are 146 seats up for grabs, and there are about a little over 1,000 candidates trying to take one of those coveted seats in the parliament. There are 34 million eligible voters who are set to take part in the electoral process. And as well, let me just give you some info there as well, that today and tomorrow are the days available for the voting process. This is a live footage from the Maita of a balloting station where people are gathered and waiting to vote. As you can see, there's a heavy security presence to ensure that safety is there and ensure that the process is going as smoothly as possible. Now, we can see in the images as well some senior citizens gathering, waiting for their turn. The National Election Authority has provided means by which anyone who is a senior citizen or with a disability to have access to these voting stations and cast in their vote. They've encouraged them to come in and take part in this democratic process. And now we can see live footage from Suez Governorate, where people are lining up. You can see the queue there is quite large. And again, what's noticeable is a heavy security presence to ensure the safety and orderly means of voting during the 2025 elections. It seems that women are also there in large numbers. They have a heavy presence in the electoral process that's taking place on 2 days, from the 24th to the 25th of this month. We have two windows with us right now, one from the Suez Governorate and one from the Dakhliya, where again there is a heavy presence of voters turning up in large numbers, queuing up clearly in separate lines, one for women, one for men, to make the process as smooth as possible. We must note that there's a heavy security presence as well to ensure the safety of people taking part, and also ensure that everyone has their identification cards to ensure that they are at the right place and they can cast in their votes properly. They have a seating area there as well in the Dakhliya for senior citizens, which is most likely something that the National Election Authority had organised for them. And we have That brings us to the end of our special coverage from Egypt. For more stories and live updates, follow Qnews on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok using the handle @QNewsEGY to stay informed. Thank you for watching, and we will update you more about the electoral process here in Egypt.